Looky here, guys. I bought myself a vibrator. Hey everybody, it's Kenny Conklin from HobbyLinkInternational.com and welcome to another YouTube video. Well, Kelly did a nice thing and she went out and got me one of the Vortex paint mixers. So we're gonna check this out today. But before we do that, we're gonna go into a few other things that I wanna talk about before we start talking about this. Okay, before we get into reviewing this and talking about a few other mixers, I wanna go through a few safety precautions with this. Medical things can happen to you. I don't claim to be a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I have nothing to do with the medical profession, and I don't even play a doctor on TV. But you have to be careful with things like this, the ultrasonic vibrations of a mixer like this, or even a palm held sander, jackhammers, anything that's going to cause vibration that you're using constantly, especially for those people that work in the construction field. You can actually get two things. One is called white finger syndrome, where it actually turns your fingers white, and the other one, it's the same thing, called hand-arm vibration syndrome, and that can mess up your tendons and bones and stuff from what I was reading. So before you use these, do a little research about those. I'm assuming we don't use these long enough for that to happen, but they're saying if you're feeling the tingling, because if you're holding this long enough, you will feel a vibration down your arm. Just be careful and make sure that you're using these properly and not too often. They actually do sell anti-vibration gloves that you can buy. They're a thicker glove. It's just another added cost, but it's a safety precaution using these things. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. So let's get into talking about the mixers. Okay, before we review the Intllab Vortex mixer that I have here, we're going to talk about a few more mixers that are out there. There is the Badger mixer. That's the little stick and you shove in the jar. This one's different. It's not a Vortex mixer like this. And the other two or three actually that I'm going to talk about are different also. You have, we'll start at the low end. You have the By Mig mixer, and that is basically a nail polish mixer. I found both. It's a carbon copy of the nail polish mixers on Amazon. The Ammo one goes for $48.12 on Ammo's site. The one that is exactly the same on Amazon runs at $24.68. The only problem with that one is looking up the specs on it, I can't find how many shakes per minute that is. So that one would fall out of my realm of buying it because I don't know how fast that one goes. The next step up would be this one. This is the Vortex VM370, I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, it's the 370. This Kelly bought for me and we jumped the gun on this one a little bit. We paid $55 for it. It goes between $36 and $66.99, so you got to shop around with this one. This does 2,800 RPM, so it's pretty quick and it does the job. And then once you go from this one, you can move up a higher step, and that is the homemade jigsaws that people make. They buy a jigsaw, they add an attachment like a clamp on the end, and they use it for shaking. Jigsaws you can pick up anywhere from like $29 to $100+, and those top out usually at 3,500 strokes per minute. So the up down strokes is about 3,500. So we went from not knowing to this 2,800, now 3,500. Now the top of the line one would be the Vallejo Paint mixer. That's the one that is not a Vortex mixer. It's not a shaker like a jigsaw. It has the strap on it. That one I found for a few different prices, and that one tops out at 5,000 shakes per minute. So it's the fastest one. That also comes in battery, and it also comes in a power adapter version. The battery version is the cheapest one. That's about $40.67. If you get the Robart from their site, it's about $54.95. On the low end, I found it on Amazon at $47, and then I found it on Micromark, which always ups their prices to almost $65. So that's on the top end of shakes per minute, plus also on the top end of the pay spectrum. So those are your options. We're going to take a look at this and maybe even take a look at this one. But let's get this plugged in and start showing you what it does. So as I was saying, this is the Intllab VM370. It's a hard plastic casing with a rubber top. It's all solid in here and it's got little rubber feet on it. I have tested this out already just to make sure it works. Just to let you know, this one does skid across, like on my desk on our cutting mats. It will start sliding across, so you got to hold it with one hand here while you do your paint on top. They do sell a different version, not the Intllab, but another Vortex mixer that has suction cup feet. So if you're going to keep it on your desk and you don't want it to go anywhere, anywhere, it will stay in place. So we're gonna get a few bottles of paint and then we'll show you how they mix up. So we're gonna run through a few paints here. We got 2 metallics from Tamiya, scale 75 black, a wash from Vallejo, a metallic from Ammo. This has the ball bearing in it, a gray from Ammo. This also has the ball bearing, and a regular Vallejo that has no ball bearing in it. So we'll run through these. Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to show you the paints. If you can see in there, the jiggly liquid, these, none of them have been handshaken. They're all separated. That's the Vallejo. This is the Ammo, that's separated. This one is hard to tell because it's darker, but you can see the liquid down here. The metallic's all separated. Actually, the wash is separated. It's all the pigment has gone to the bottom. Unfortunately, the black, we're not going to be able to tell, but what I want to see on this is scale 75 are gel based, so they come out thicker. By handshaking, I want to see if we can get a little thinner with the Vortex mixer, and then you can definitely see in here how the separation of pigment from lacquer in the Tamiya. So let's get this puppy started. Okay, just to show you the Vallejo paint beforehand, if it's just liquid, it's not mixed up at all yet. So let's take you over to the Vortex and show you how it works. So all you do is you place your bottle on here and you push it down in the middle and it'll start vibrating this sucker. You want to find a good spot, and then it'll go and go and go and go and go, and you can pull off and check the bottle. It's starting to bring the pigments up to the top, but I found if you put it upside down and you hold it like this, the Vortex action works better, drawing the pigments from the top or the bottom of the bottle all the way down. And you do it for 30 seconds to a minute and you should be good. And we're getting a nice paint in there right now. It's getting mixed up, and I'll do it a little bit longer. Whoa, I wasn't on there very well. And now we'll show you the end result of the mixing. You can see all the bubbles in there from it being mixed up. So let's go back to the palette and squirt this sucker out. And this is how the paint comes out after mixing with the Vortex mixer. There's no handshaking whatsoever. Whoa, that squirted all over the black paper. And I should have cleaned that nozzle, but as you can see, the paint is very nice. Actually, it's a good consistency and there's no more watery mess like this. I can actually bring this watery mess back over here if I wanted to, but that's how it comes out. It comes out nice and mixed. So let's move over to another one. This is the regular Ammo by Mig Gray. The same thing, you can see the color, the pigment's coming out, but it's a very watery consistency. So let's get this one on the Vortex. And again, this is the Ammo by Mig. This is their regular paint, not the metallic, and this one has a ball bearing in it. And you could, if you can, you might be able to hear the ball bearing switching around in there. I can hear it. And how I do it, like I said, a little while going this way, and then I'll flip it over and I'll put it this way, and I'll let it do its action. And you can mush it around if you want, but you really don't have to hold it on here too long. Like I said, 30 seconds to a minute and you should be good. Let's get over to the palette. And this is how the regular Ammo will come out now. Perfectly mixed. Look at that. That is very nice. I could use a little more mixing. I see a little of the white showing through. A few more seconds would have done better, but you can see the difference in color from this, and the consistency again is very, very nice. So let's move over to a metallic and see how that does. This is Ammo by Mig's metal acrylic color. This one is the bluish titanium. I actually use this on the Skeleton Warrior. You can see the blue there. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I can see from my lighting here around the ring, the edge is more of a watery substance, and it's not really titanium-ish in there. It's just a pure blue. So let's get this one on the Vortex mixer and check it out. This one, you can see all the metallic pigments on the bottom. So we're definitely gonna do this one a little longer to make sure all of that breaks up. And then I'll switch it around because it's all over the bottom. And this one, I don't hear the ball bearing in it yet, swishing around, so it's caught in this pigment at the bottom, but it is starting to break up the pigment. Just want to break it up a little bit before I do flip it over and start from the cap end. And now I'll do it from the cap end and let it do its thing. And hopefully it works well on metallics. I can see it's starting to break up. I still don't hear that ball bearing yet though. On the last one I was able to hear the ball bearing swishing around. It's definitely, I can see it. I don't know if you can, but I can see the metallic starting to break up, and you can see definitely that bluish color is gone and there's more metallic in here. There is some pigment left down at the bottom. We're gonna see if we can get rid of that. See if we hold it more. I hear the ball bearing starting to swish around in there, so that was caught inside that pigment. I don't know if you can hear it. but that sucker's whipping around at the bottom now, and you can see it's really breaking up that pigment. That I feel is pretty good, so we'll bring it over to the palette and see the difference. And now let's squirt a little of the bluish titanium in there, and you can definitely see the difference in color from that to that. And I'm telling you now, that color that you're seeing in here is definitely not the bluish titanium I got on the glove that we did with the Skeleton Warrior. It's actually more blue, so I wasn't able to shake this up by hand enough, even though I heard the ball bearing. The Vortex Mixer definitely did a better job of mixing that up and getting that titanium color out there, and you can see that's a nice color. That's getting a little watery because this has alcohol on it. I just took it out of the cleaning pot, but it's definitely a nice consistency, and you can see definitely the color difference between this one and that one. That's how it should look here, not like that. Now here's the big one. I have scale 75 colors. I like the colors. I just get frustrated because they are gel medium. I can never shake them up enough to get them thin enough, plus using the thinner on them because you do have to use thinner. So I'm going to squirt this out, and hopefully it doesn't go flying everywhere. Hopefully the tip is clean, and there we go. And you can see how thick that paint is. It's nice and dark. It's heavily pigmented, but that you can see the gel move around freely, and it just coats the plastic very well. I mean, if you went straight like this, which I did a couple coats on the base of the Skeleton Warrior like this, but you shouldn't. You should actually thin this down, but you can see how thick it is. So let's get it on the Vortex, and I'm going to actually run this one probably a little longer than the other ones to try to break down that gel medium to a thinner consistency. Okay, let's see if the Vortex is a miracle worker with these paints, because I said I really like them. It's just a little difficult for me to work with them. So I'll probably do this a little longer. I'll do down, up probably, just to try to break it up. The problem too with these are they are heavily pigmented, so even in the bottle, the regular bottle, it's very thick, so it's hard to tell if they're separated or not, which they shouldn't separate because it is a gel. It just comes out a lot thicker. And then we'll slap it up this way. We'll roll it around a bit, and we'll see if that makes a difference. I can actually feel the tingling in my fingers and my arm over here. It does go down, so like I was saying before, just be careful with these and don't use them for too long. Just get in and out if you can. And let's go back to the other side. All right, let's throw it on the wet palette. Okay, the moment of truth with scale 75. Let's see what it does. It's definitely still thick, definitely a thicker paint. Like I said, it's a gel medium, but it's thinner. It's definitely has broken it down, so maybe if I left it on there a little longer, it would be a little thinner. Scale 75, you definitely have to thin these out no matter what. I use distilled water to thin them out. I do have to get some scale 75 thinner to see, but this is still a thick paint. So the Vortex does work, but it's not gonna break it down to the consistency of a Vallejo or an ammo paint or anything like that. So don't expect with scale 75 for this to become I guess a milky consistency just because it is gel. And we're gonna do the wash, and you can see it washes, of course, are thin already, but this one you can see all the pigment is at the bottom. So we're gonna shake it up and just see the difference in darkness of the wash after shaking it. Okay, this one definitely isn't gonna have to go on that long because it is already super watered down, and we just gotta move those pigments from the bottom. I can actually see them splashing up top already. And with the wash, you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. The darker, it's getting really dark up top and just flying around there and mixing up. So that's actually plenty good. You could see through the bottle already how dark the wash got. So let's go back over to the palette. And here we go. Look at how much darker that is now that the Vortex mixed it up rather than having it just a thin watery consistency. So it's definitely good for your washes too. And if you look around, you can still see the consistencies are very well. This is still pretty thick. It hasn't separated yet. This is the water. The darkness here, definitely between the blue and the titanium, and the watery gray and the solid gray. And unfortunately, the gel is a very hard medium to work with. So let's get over to those Tamiya bottles. And here's the Tamiya copper. As you can see, I didn't clean my lid off, so that's a little yucky. But you can see the pigments of the copper all the way at the bottom, and you can see the separation at top. I haven't used a glass bottle on there yet to see, and the size bottle and shape bottle. So we're gonna throw it on there. We're gonna see how it works and if it mixes it up very well. Okay, let's see what happens to those heavy duty pigments at the bottom. Let's see if it does anything. Wow, this is a hard one to actually get on here, and I'm looking to see if it's shaking it up. I can see the pigments. I don't know if you can. The pigments are starting to move to the top. This one is definitely a harder bottle to get to shake because of the size and shape of it. The dropper bottles are a lot easier to work with on here. So I'm gonna change it around. I'm trying to get, see? Uh-oh, did I kill it? Uh-oh, what happened there? There it is. I think I might have moved the thing out of the way. So we'll shake that up. Let's do it this way. See if that does anything, and then we're gonna open this up in a few seconds. See the bottle? It's definitely not meant for this one. I'm gonna try and just go straight like this because it is a bigger bottle. Ah, see, that's better. I was totally doing it wrong. So if you just hold it across here, a Tamiya type of bottle, it works a lot better. And I can feel that. Actually, I can hear the liquid sloshing around in there right now. So we learned something new on how to use Tamiya bottles on here. And then we can hold it upside down, and looking at the bottom, that looks like it's mixing up very, very well. All right, let's get it off this thing and see what it did. And here is the mix. The Vortex Mixer did really well. I'm glad that I had the little mishap with it. This way we know that the bottle should go over that ring, just flat down like that, and it will do a good job. But the real test is the Vortex may have just pulled up enough pigments to make that look nice. The real test, and everybody knows, if you have Tamiya a long time, the bottom gets kind of gummy, so I'm going to put it down and we'll see if we bring up any gumminess. No, it totally broke up those pigments perfectly. Look, it's dripping right off of the end of that paintbrush. So definitely a good job on the Tamiya paints also. So the Badger one, I was going to go over this, but most people have this type of stirrer. It's just a couple batteries with a handle, turn it on, and it spins. The reason I bought this one was because of the wide mouth bottles. I can get in there, spin it around, and then clean this off, and I'd have a nice mixture. The reason I got the Vortex one was because I drop bottles, you can't do that unless you pull off the top, and then most of the time this piece doesn't fit into the bottle anyhow, and you don't want to keep taking that nipple back off and on because eventually you're going to ruin it and you're going to have paint everywhere. So that's why I wanted a Vortex one to mix this up. So let's go through the pros and cons of this guy. So as always, let's go over pros and cons of this thing. We'll start with the cons as usual. The one con is the little rubber feet. If you're not on a surface like this, like a this is like more of a cloth, it doesn't move around when you're using it. If you're on a smoother surface, it will start moving around, so you have to hold it. Another con, it is not really a con because it does the job, but it is on the lower end of the RPMs. It's only $2,800. And the big con was for me the price, because I didn't look around. I could have got this for a better price from another dealer, anywhere between $33 and $36 instead of $55. So you should go looking around for pricing if you want one of these. The pros, it totally mixes up paint well. It does Vallejo nice. It does the metallics very well. I was very impressed with the ammo metallic, and I was very impressed with the Tamiya metallic. The scale 75, it broke it down enough. I didn't hold it on there that long. Kenny's doing the camera behind me. He told me I held the Vallejo on here there for about 1:40, and I held the scale 75 for about 1:31 on there. So there was a little 9-second discrepancy, but I don't think it's going to do that much more with the gel. It does break it down some, but you're still going to have to thin down those scale 75. As far as this, another pro is the Tamiya bottles actually do work on here. I was holding it wrong, and as you know in my videos, I don't mess around taking anything out. If we learn something, it's great. We learned that all you have to do is hold this guy down like this. This one here is going to get retired probably because I won't have a need for this one anymore, knowing that the Tamiya bottles can go on here and it mixes the metallics really well. So if it's mixing the metallics really well, it's going to mix the clears and the regular colors. So in overall, I would say it's a good purchase. It'll definitely make your paint mixing quicker and easier. The only thing I do suggest is be careful with how long you are using it, and if you do feel any kind of vibrations or tingling in your hand, especially from your hand down your arm, stop using it for a while. If after using it for a while you do find that your hand is still tingling, you may want to go get that checked out. But it's a very good piece of equipment. You can look around, find a great price for it. If you have any questions or comments about the piece, just hit me up in the comment section below. I'm always here to answer you. Usually answer within a few minutes. Otherwise, that's it on this review. I hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button, just so you don't miss any of my videos or any of the live streams that we have or any of Paul's reviews. We're on here a lot. So we'll be coming up. The next video will definitely be that review of the Voyager Green Strawberry aftermarket set. So I hope you're all doing well out there. Please stay safe and be careful. Have a great night. Take care and bye-bye.